an abstract photograph would be to take long exposures at night. This was a photograph taken at the Garden Glow at Botanical Gardens, and I just left my shutter open for a couple seconds and I waved my camera around, creating this like wave-like effect. This was a tunnel of lights with like little candles in the yard. So it created a very abstract, very unrecognizable effect in Photoshop. I do have some gaps in it that maybe I could fill in with like the brush tool. So if you wanted to open up our layers panel there, I'm going to make a copy, and then if I want to fill that in, I would make a separate layer to paint on so that I'm not painting on my background. So then you can change it if you want to. So we'll just grab the brush tool. There's different blending modes you can add. I would put it on normal at first. You can kind of see what that does. You can make things more black. Or if you want to kind of fill this in, maybe I'll like use the eyedropper tool, grab my color, and you can always use paintbrushes to abstract an item even more fully. And that's pretty similar in color, but I kind of want to match that effect of going up and down. Okay, so that's more finished. And then I can add layers on top of my photographs to make them make even less sense, because again, with abstract, it's all about making your viewer ask, what is that? So let's see what we have to choose from. I kind of like this texture on George, so I'm going to probably select it in like a rectangle, so then I can resize it and place it on my photograph. Okay, so there is my George texture. I'm going to copy, Command C, then go back to my light painting, Command V, and click OK. And then we're going to make this big, Command T to resize or edit transform. And then maybe I'll rotate it, something like that. I want it to fill my space, be really big. The less recognizable, the better. But hopefully you had a good enough picture to be able to have that much detail. Okay, that looks like a lot of detail, right? And then maybe I don't like that this corner is the only part without this lizard texture. So I might use my clone stamp and fill that in, holding Option. Click on the orange. I want my cursor to be a little bit bigger so it doesn't take me quite so long. And I'm just going to fill that as if there's no edge there. Okay, so here is my light painting. Here's my chameleon colors. And then if I add a blending mode, voila, I can see both. I can see one through the other, and it becomes even more abstract. That one's kind of cool. I sort of like how all of those colors and values are blending. If you want to make it less of an effect, we can lighten this layer so it makes more of the background show through. But I sort of liked how bright it was. You can also add adjustment layers from here, like contrast. If you up the contrast all the way, then it's going to really abstract things. It makes it just like darks and lights. So you can see without the contrast, with the contrast, it gives it more of a pop. And then you can do things beyond that, like playing around with your channels if you want to, like what are the reds doing. So playing with color is a very obvious way to create some abstract effects. So I'm channel mixing here. Ooh, that's very abstract. I could add cutouts of different shapes. So on my layer 2 here, I could add some cutouts on a mask. So I'm just going to add a white mask. Anywhere I add black is going to hide. So if I use a paintbrush, you can see what that would do. So it's kind of taking away, it's like an eraser, but it's non-destructive because I can always paint with white to put it back. So I'm going to create some color or some shapes now. Maybe I want like an elliptical marquee. I'm going to make a selection there and hit Option Delete, fill it with black. Okay, so that kind of cut a hole in my chameleon there. I'm going to use the polygonal lasso, maybe make like a nice triangle over here. So you can hand draw these shapes. Option Delete, fill it with black. So now I'm getting rid of the texture that's on that layer. And then maybe I'll make like a freeform selection using the lasso tool. So you can see there's no limit to what you can do in terms of abstract photography. And then Option Delete. I don't like that so much. So I'm going to go back in time, edit, undo, Command Z, and maybe I'll just put like a little cutout there. Okay, something like that. I could keep going. I could add more layers if I wanted to. I could add more shapes if I wanted to. Use the brush tool, maybe add like another layer over the top of this and take a color that I haven't really used yet. Maybe I haven't used violet and select that color. And then I can change my brush tip over here. I kind of want like a soft edge. Maybe lower the hardness. And let's use a brush that looks a little bit more, a little jaggedy. Okay, maybe lower the opacity a little bit, lower the flow. That has to do with how much paint appears to be loaded onto the brush. Okay, so there it goes. And then if we want to turn up the flow a little bit, you can see I'm painting with purple over the top of my document. And now maybe I'll use some yellow just to add some vibrance. And then the opacity will make it stand out better. There you go. So you can make a very abstract design using brushes, using layers, using channels, using light painting, and just going from there.